Okay, so welcome back. We are a week on from Woking Triathlon, and a little addendum to the last vlog. I didn't realise at the time, but I actually came third in my age group at Woking Tri, so hey, it's I'll take it. It's only a local triathlon, but it's nice to make top 3 in anything. So moving on, it's now 5 weeks until the Eton Dorney Triathlon, and both the Eton Dorney, which is Olympic distance, and the Cotswold 70.3, which is obviously the half Ironman, both of those, the swim is in open water, is in a lake. So Eton Dorney is in, I think it's the rowing lake where they had the Olympics in 2012. And obviously the Cotswold 70.3 Classic is in the Cotswold Water Park. Open water activity lake. Anyway, it's something I need to get used to. I think I've swum in open water. Well, obviously I can swim. I have swum in the sea and open water since I wear a nipper. But getting used to open water swimming, and particularly swimming in a wetsuit, is something I've got very little experience of. I've come to Mitchett Keys, which is my sort of local open water swimming mecca, and it's very popular. I've swum here a couple of times last year, and the immediate thing I noticed was that my average pace is much slower in the open water than it is in the pool. My stamina is much lower because I'm not getting a push off every 50 meters. So that's something I really get used to. And today, for the first time, I'm going to swim in a wetsuit. And I've never swum in a wetsuit before. So my expectations are pretty low of what I'm actually sort of going to achieve. It's really, today's just about getting used to getting into the water because it'll be quite cold, getting used to sort of how the wetsuit feels, sort of how it feels swimming in it, how it feels swimming with a toe float, all these things. Yeah, I just need to practice, basically. It's a beautiful day. The water temperature, it might be 18 degrees. It's climbing all the time, so it's around about the same temperature as it probably will be in June, and again possibly in July. Yeah, so it's time to get the wetsuit on and get in. Okay, that was fun. First open water swim in a wetsuit, done and dusted. Massively struggled to get into it at first. That was hilarious. I had to get a guy to help me, and then even then he said the zip popped off the back, so something I'm just going to have to check and get used to. But yeah, it took me almost as long to get into the wetsuit as I did for the swim. The swim was okay. So I did about 1,400 meters, just over that. Average pace 1:55 per 100, so that's significantly slower than I would do in a pool. So yeah, not having that push off either end is just something I have to get used to, and I did find myself getting tired and having to sort of stop and sort of just gain my bearings later on. So yeah, I just need to build up stamina, really. Sighting is another thing. I got totally lost. I haven't managed to do one of these big 1K loops at the Mitchett Keys without getting lost yet on the second way back, so that's just something I just need to get used to. Initially the wetsuit felt really good. They do say a wetsuit makes you more buoyant, particularly in kind of like your bum area. Basically it sort of lifts up your pelvis, which should make you faster. It should make it easier. I definitely noticed that to begin with, and then as the swim went on, and I sort of was sighting kind of more and more, I noticed basically my back getting really sore and kind of getting stiff. So again, that's just something to get used to. But overall, that was fun. Water was lovely, felt a bit cold, and then basically as soon as I started swimming, absolutely fine. If anything, I tend to overheat rather than get cold. So yeah, by the end of the swim, I'd say I was cooking nicely. Yeah, with time, with stamina, that'll be good, and so it's nothing I need to be fearful of. I just need a bit more practice. All right, onwards and upwards. Good morning, mostly running. It's about 10 to 6 in the morning, so I'm doing a brick run today. Brick activity, I should say. It's bike then run. So I'm doing 80k on the bike, followed by a 10k run off. So I'm trying out a few new things today. I'm sort of trying my fueling strategy for the Cotswold Classic. The Precision Fuel and Hydration Flow Gel, I'm checking that out. So that is 300 grams of carbs, which hopefully I'll take on my bike for the Cotswold Classic, which should take me sort of around 3+ hours. So if I can have all of that, that'd be amazing. I've had a few sips so far. So it's slightly weird putting a gel into a bottle. It's sort of like a thick gloop kind of thing. I mean, it is drinkable. I've tried it. I have to say, I'm not wild about the taste. It tastes a sort of sickly, sort of honey, it's a very weak honey, really. So yeah, so we'll see how we get on. But I'm going to try and drink all of that on the 80k bike today, and then see how I feel running off that. The other thing I've got is my GoPro mounted on my bike, so we'll see how much longer that stays on, because it's already shaking about and I really don't want it to fall off. But hopefully I can give you a few action shots of my face or up my nose while I'm cycling, but more excitedly some forward-facing shots of some of the hills I'm going to encounter on this 80k ride. So I'm doing 2 loops of 40k. Each loop has about 400 meters of elevation, so it's a bit more than I'll be getting on the Cotswold Classic, but it's yeah, if I can get back 40k, I can get back to my house and swap a bottle out, a bottle of electrolyte for another bottle, so then I don't have to carry everything, because at the moment I've only got 2 cages mounted on my bike. If the flow gel works out, I'll have to sort of think about getting a 3rd bottle mount as well. Sort of where that is, I'm not really sure. Also, I've got Mr. Tri-Suit on today. So that's a Hoob Tri-Suit I picked up off their half price sale at the end of the year. It's quite good. It's May the 18th. We've had some balmy weather in the UK, but it's actually quite chilly today. So I'm going to get going. I'm probably going to stuff the GoPro in my back pocket for now, because I don't want it to fall off. And I'll pick up some shots on the route. I've had to stop because I'm struggling a bit with getting my fueling on board. So my drinks bottle is in the case that's difficult to access, and then the precision fuel and hydration is not coming out of the bottle that well. I think it's supposed to work with their own branded bottle. Funny that. Anyway, the number one reason why I had to stop was because my phone's stopped connecting to my headphones, and I was listening to Ramesh Ranganathan's marathon playlist, which is keeping me going. So I'm going to get that reconnected and get back on the road. Love Shack is a little old place where... Yeah, anyway, just reached a spicy little section in the deep cut woods. I call this section the steps, where we go up about 80 to 100 meters of elevation in sort of 3 steps, really. I put the GoPro around the other side, so we'll see what it looks like. Hopefully it doesn't fall off. Yeah, I'm about 42 minutes in, 20k. So far, it's going all right. Aero bars, still getting used to them. Anyway, I'll see you on the other side. First loop done. It's about 41k in about 1 hour 28, so I'm gonna change over the water bottles, have a quick number one, and get back on the road. All right. Right. Oh dear. Brick session complete. I had to adapt the end of it slightly because when I got off the bike after 82k, I suffered like a cramp in my glute, and I wasn't sure if it was like a muscle pull, in which case I would have stopped, or if it was just cramp. So I stopped the event and then sort of stretched out on the floor for about sort of 3 or 4 minutes, and it loosened up. So thankfully it was cramp. Anyway, I didn't want to sort of risk it really, so I just did 5k off the bike instead of 10. Picked a pace that was roughly around sort of 10k effort, around sort of 435, 440 per kilometre, which is about 46 minute, maybe 10k. So my PB for 10k is 42, so I'm very happy with the 46 to be honest, off Eton Dorney, and that will obviously be off a 40k bike, not a 80k bike, which I just done. So yeah, things I learnt: flow gel needs work, aero bars needs practice, but the second of those 40 sort of 1k loops I was doing, I left the GoPro behind for the second one, and once I'd stopped stopping every 10k to talk to the GoPro, actually I set PRs on every segment on my second loop, and I've done that loop maybe 20 times, so well certainly 10 to 15, so that's actually a sign I'm in quite good bike shape, and certainly that's the longest ride I've ever done solo. 82k, I'm only 8k off half Ironman distance, and yeah, felt reasonably strong towards the end of the bike. Don't get me wrong, it's a long way, but starting to believe that I can do this half Ironman thing. Onwards and upwards. Right, so somehow we made it to Eton Dorney and it's race day. So this place is amazing. It's an absolute mecca for triathlon. I've never seen so many triathletes in my life, so many different bikes, so many different variations of kit, and obviously levels of professionalism as well. There's a massive continuum of which I have no idea where I sit. Yeah, it's quite nice to be here though. It's the obviously it was the venue for the rowing at the Olympics in 2012. So yeah, quite a prestigious place. I think it's also part of the grounds of Eton College, which is where the 1% go. I did actually come here once for a fencing competition back in the 90s, which I won. It was like an age group competition, but I have no memory recollection of being here whatsoever. Anyway, so the weather is not great. It's been raining already quite heavily. Rain is something I've not really prepared for in terms of my training. I don't really go out on the roads when it's wet because I don't like riding my bike. So that's going to be interesting. The course is pancake flat. It's you ride the bike 8 loops of a 5k loop around one side of the lake, and then you run a couple of loops of a 5k loop on the other side. So that's a 40k bike, 10k run. So with the weather being what it is, the road's likely to be quite slippy and also quite windy, so I think I'll just have to deal with that, and probably just slow down. There's a couple of dead turns I think at either end, so I'll just slow down, see how I get on. My kit may get a little bit wet sitting in transition area, but you know, everything's going to be wet anyway, so we'll see how we do. So yeah, 1500 meter swim, 40k bike, 10k run. The distances don't scare me. The interesting things will be seeing how my body sort of copes with working at a high level for, well, roughly 3 hours, I guess, hopefully a little bit under that. So goals for today, still using this really as a bit of a training event for the Cotswold Classic. So the goal for the swim, well, what's been interesting about my swimming is that the speed I have in the pool hasn't really translated to open water. I am able to maintain a pace of about 140, 100 meters in the pool. When I get into the open water, it's more like 2 minutes, if I'm honest, maybe a little bit under. I've swum open water now probably about 8 times in my life, with a wetsuit particularly. It doesn't seem to, yeah, it's just something I just need to get better at. I've tried with the wetsuit and without the wetsuit, because I don't really enjoy swimming in the wetsuit. It feels unnatural, even though the wetsuit is a good wetsuit and I think it's well fitting. It's just not something I like. Without the wetsuit, although it does feel slightly better, it is over sort of the distance, it is a bit slower. So I'm going to trade off feeling slightly uncomfortable for that added kind of buoyancy you get from a wetsuit. So I would be happy with, time-wise, it's 1500 meter swim. I'll be happy with anything comfortably under 30 minutes really, and sort of feeling okay getting out. I have a feeling adrenaline's going to push me on and I'm probably going to be slightly faster than that, but realistically I've only been able to average sort of just under 2 minutes per 100 meters, so 30 minutes. The bike, it's fast, it's flat, the weather's going to play a bit of a factor, but if I can get as close to an average of sort of 30 kilometers an hour, maybe just under that for the duration, that'd be amazing. And then for the run, I have been in fairly good run form recently, although I've not sort of done any running training. Went to London during half term, had a night out in London with my wife, and we went to Victoria Dock Park Run in the morning, and I actually ran 20:14, I think, which is the fastest 5k I've done for a couple of years. So I think I'm going to do a separate video at some point on how triathlon training can sort of really improve your running, because it's been something I'm quite pleased with. But anyway, my 10k PB is about 42 minutes, so I think I'll probably be realistically happy with anything under or around 47 minutes. I don't know how my legs are going to feel running a fast 10k off a fast 40k bike. So if you add all those up together, that's about 2 hours and 45 minutes plus transition. So yeah, if I can come in anywhere around sort of 250, then I'm going to be happy with that really. So we'll see. Okay, let's talk about that. Eton Dorney Tri Olympic distance. Or so it says on the tin. I really enjoyed that. It was so much fun. So the swim was either under, or I just swam a lot quicker than I thought I was going to. So the swim I had down as 1.268 kilometers. So that's way under what the Olympic distance says. But anyway, average pace of 1:44. So that's actually by far the quickest open water swim I've had. It was a funny old one because before we got in, I made a schoolboy error. In fact, I made lots of schoolboy errors. The biggest error, first of all, was not going to the toilet straight away. So I got stuck in a queue waiting for ages, and I hadn't put my wetsuit on. And while I was still in the queue for the toilet, they were announcing that my category had to go to the start line. Got my wetsuit on, got there, and then basically we had to hang around in the water for quite a while. Yeah, they get you, there were maybe 200 people or so, all in wetsuits, and it was a narrow entrance to the water. So you get there and you have to kind of hang around treading water for about 5 minutes till everybody's in, and then they start you. So there was like a pontoon I managed to grab hold of and sort of rest a little bit. But you know, if you're not a confident swimmer, treading water for 5 minutes before you start a 1500 meter swim is not the easiest. And then the swim itself was awesome actually. My goodness, I realised what everybody talks about when they say it's like a bun fight. There were legs and arms going everywhere. I saw people's hats getting knocked off. Everyone was lovely. There was nobody who was trying to do anything vicious at all. It was just sheer volume of people in a very confined space. But I tried really hard basically to get on someone's legs, but every time I did I would catch them up, and then I would sort of deliberately slow down, and then so I found myself sort of going around people a little bit as people sort of found their pace. There was a helpful marshal on a paddleboard, so I basically kept him on my left. I found myself steering to the left quite a lot, but around the top of the lake it was fairly easy to navigate really, because you always had somebody basically either to the left or right or ahead of you. So yeah, the swim was kind of okay, and as I said, I looked at my watch when I got out of the water and it said 21 minutes, and I was expecting half an hour. So I hadn't seen the distance, but I assumed it was short, because my watch beat 500 meters when I got to the end of it, and that was clearly there. But anyway, yeah, so watch came up as 1.268 kilometers, so it's about 250 meters short. Still at that pace, I'll definitely take that. So that was awesome. Looking at the bike, so first of the major errors happened on the bike. So partly because I had been in such a rush because I'd been in the toilet queue. My nutrition wasn't sort of set up properly for me. I had it in a bag, but I hadn't got it out and laid it out. So I basically got back to the bike, put the helmet on, got the bag of the PF90, which is the sort of the main gel I was going to have on the bike, and shoved it in the back of my tri-suit, and it promptly fell out straight away. I mean, I didn't notice it falling out. I don't know exactly whether it fell out when I was running to the mountain line or whenever I actually got on the bike. But by the time I started cycling, I realised I had no nutrition at all. I thought, well, that's just going to have to be what it is. I'm just going to have to sort of manage it. I had in transition, I had sort of shoved like a mouthful of the gel in my mouth, so I knew I'd had like, I don't know, if it was 90 grams of carbs, I probably shoved about 20 in my mouth, like at the start. But I just thought I'm just gonna have to do it. Eton Dorney bike course is, yeah, it's amazing to sort of practice your time trial position. It is very flat, and the road's good quality, and it was so it was really a good opportunity to for me to get on the aero bars and sort of practice that position. And man, I needed to be on the aero bars because the wind got progressively stronger as it went on. So first couple of laps I was sort of aware of a bit of a headwind and a bit of a crosswind sort of going out on the lake, and then you sort of loop back round, and then you were in kind of a more sheltered section where it was quite you know, you could really get on the in the sort of the aero position and get some good kind of power up. But as the laps went on and on and on, and I had to really focus on counting the laps as well, because again the laps were supposed to be 5k, but they were kind of more like 4.6, 4.7, because the entire ride was 37k for 8 laps. I definitely did not do 7 laps. I definitely did 8, but it was only 37k. So I had to really focus on sort of counting them. But man, the aero position is amazing. I really, when I was sort of dialed in, I was really, I could feel myself like not having to push that hard and sort of catching people up. I'd say there were like 3 tiers of riders in the event. There were like people who clearly sort of were kind of out, bless them, for a fun day, but sort of hadn't really thought about the sort of gear which would make them travel fast at all. So like sort of wearing almost sort of shorts and baggy shorts and sitting upright and sort of not on something, you know, like a very basic kind of road bike. And then there were people like myself who probably had, you know, got at least a sort of a half decent sort of road bike, or maybe even a bike with some aero bars on, or some sort of made an attempt at some sort of aero position. And then there were like the Uber, the semi-pros, or the people who come past in bikes which were clearly another level up, and they had the nutrition sort of built into the bike, and some of them had disc wheels, and so yeah, I found myself sort of lapped by those kind of people, but I was probably, you know, maybe lapping some of the other tier as well. So, but all in all, it was awesome. I think I was quite proud of myself. I think I was proud of myself for really making an effort to get in that aero position, because I knew it was working for me, even though it wasn't the most comfortable and I wasn't really used to it. I reckon I was probably in the aero position for at least 50% of the ride, which made a massive difference. It meant I could kind of, when the wind was against me, I was holding maybe 28, 29 kilometers an hour, and on the way back, more like 32, 33. So I averaged for the bike, it was 37k, and I definitely averaged 30.5. I averaged 30.5 kilometers for the bike, which I'm really pleased about. Probably still could have gone faster. If I'd had the nutrition, I would have been more confident to work a little bit harder. As it was, I worked hard, but I was sort of trying to hold a little bit back, because I knew I didn't want to bonk, basically. I didn't know if I was going to bonk on this event at all. Transition again, so both transitions were pretty rubbish. I faff like anything, but anyway, the transition here, so I dropped my nutrition before the bike, so I hadn't had anything to eat really. So what I planned to do then was to sort of stuff my face with maybe a couple of gels. So I did open a gel and have sort of some of that, and I grabbed another gel. This was my caffeine gel. I had one caffeine gel before the run, which I was going to take at the beginning of the run, and that was hopefully going to kick in during the run and give me a boost. And I promptly put that in the back of my back pocket and dropped that as well. So I dropped my nutrition at the start of the bike, and I dropped my nutrition for the run. So I basically did the whole Olympic distance with minimal nutrition. You can kind of get away with it, sort of the total sort of time for the event, sort of 2.5-ish hours. So yeah, it's not ideal, but I just about got away with it. The run, by then the wind was really hard, but I managed to start off with a half decent pace of sort of 4:45 to 4:40 kilometers minutes per kilometer, which was a little slower than I had wanted to, but I was just being a bit cautious because I thought I haven't had any kind of nutrition, and I really figured I might bonk. I might get close to bonking, but I managed to pick it up, and I started hitting about 3:30, 3:35 a kilometer, which was great. And then when I got round to the first lap, I knew that I dropped my gel fairly early on in the run, because I realised I'd lost it almost straight away. So I was keeping an eye out for it and I found it on the floor as I completed the first lap. So I picked it up, and it was my caffeine gel. So I did manage to guzzle it down. The second lap was starting to get a lot harder. I was dropping pace a little bit towards the end of the run. When we got to but I managed to sort of hold it. When I got to the turnaround and the wind was behind me on the way back, when I got to like 2k to go, I thought I'd try and ramp the pace up a little bit. I did take it down to about 4:15, and then immediately my body just went no. So I had to sort of dial it back a little bit, but I still managed to average sort of about 4:20 for those last sort of couple of kilometers. Overall run time was just over 45 minutes. So yeah, I think again, all in all, I hit all the goals I was aiming for this Eton Dorney. The weather could have ruined it, but thankfully it didn't. By the end, it was I had moments of sun. Certainly the rain had stopped by the time I was sort of finishing the bike. Beautifully organised event, very straightforward. Marshals there all the time, really it was obvious where you sort of went. I think the only bit I was a little bit confused on was where I had to start the run from, but no, it was fine. And really the only things that I could complain about that went wrong were my own stupid errors of dropping my nutrition and sort of not being prepared enough, really. I'm quite depleted now. Obviously didn't take much nutrition on. I've had a little protein shake. I ain't gonna lie, I'm knackered. Gonna get back, have some lunch. Thank you so much, Eton Dorney. Thank you for AETW events, another brilliantly organised, accessible triathlon for people who have not done an Olympic distance before. I'm super happy, and over and out. You're only racing yourself. Take care.